Alrighty then. Here we go. Here we go again. Anyway, I would sit here and say how's everybody doing, but that'll be understatement. Now everybody's doing fine. I had a couple of requests to, put my anger aside for people not listening and just try to school people on what's going on. Excuse me. Been there, done that. I've been doing this for years. I sat back with my wife earlier because one of my daughter friends came over the house, spent the evening with us. And we woke up, we went out, got some fresh stuff to make a big breakfast. I told my family, we have to conserve what we have, but I figured since she had a guest and stuff, I decided, we're gonna make food. Uh, and in doing so, I have decided that I've been up here trying to warn people about a possible takeover and stuff for years. Obama's been in office for 8 years, and this Neanderthal has been in office for 4 years, basically, because it's 2020. So technically, that's 12 years right there. I always knew and always thought that there was something coming, even when Bush Jr. was in office, even before he got in office, and he did 8 years. So you figure 8 is 16 plus 4. That's 20. That's basically 20 years of straight out bullshit of me putting my head together and knowing that something was coming sooner or later. I really didn't think there was something was going to happen during Y2K and all that stuff. I just felt that people expected it to happen. And one way I look at it is I kind of figured that, the government don't want people to be prepared for stuff. And China, for instance, have been trying to warn everybody, and everybody's sitting here with Trump with this whole thinking it's funny, calling it the Chinese virus and whatnot. Things basically migrate for where they migrate and whatnot. But this is a global purposely planned disaster. Anytime you have people dying, it don't matter if 2 or 3 people die in one state, one town, one village, one city, one borough, one country. It's terrible, and this is genocide. People have to understand when you have mass amount of murder going on, it's genocide. And in case you think I'm lying, go look up what genocide means. You got serial killers that they're called serial killers because it's one or a couple of people, killing people in one specific way of fashion. But that's still genocide. That's the reason why they give these guys the chair or they get multiple life sentences, because they kill in mass numbers. And that's the difference between somebody who kills and a serial killer. But basically, I guess it's easier to call a person a serial killer, being that their homicides are specific. But it's still genocide because you're killing off more than 1 or 2 people, like that crazy ass white boy that killed those nine people in back in 2015 or 16 in that church. That was genocide because he killed multiple people. Genocide doesn't just mean that it has to be a mass of 50 people or more. Anytime you kill more than 2 or 3 people, that's still a form because it's more than one individual. But anyway, that's a whole nother subject. Speaking of that, one thing I learned growing up, everybody sits here and cry and pray too much on a biblical Jesus and God that doesn't exist. During slavery, during the Holocaust, even during when the Romans ruled over Egypt, over the Jews, the Hebrews. I just call it the Middle Easterns back then. Everybody know Romans basically are Italians. No people. I mean, I don't even want to really get into that because racism, politics, and religion are 3 huge things you want to stay away from. But I will go to say that Jesus never came down to help anybody. I'm sorry, neither did Saint Michael, Saint Paul, or whoever you want to call. Humans do crazy shit. Animals get killed by humans all the time and get betrayed by them, as well as vice versa. You don't see nobody sitting back crying to this one and that one. People are just, living creatures on this planet. You have good and you have evil in everything, whether it's a fucking bear or a damn human, or insect or a reptile. Everything has its whatever, you know what I'm saying? It is what it is. But I'm not gonna sit here and pray and cry to some blonde-haired, blue-eyed Jesus, and on some Bible and look at the words in a book that was made by people that didn't like people of my color anyway, and let alone these are people that have their own hidden and own agendas on what they think this is and that is. That's just me. I read in between the lines very well. I'm intelligent enough to know that, I don't have to believe in the whole biblical bullshit or Torah or Quran jibber jabber to be a holy person. I know and believe that everything is here for a purpose. Sometimes you don't know why, being that people that run this planet happen to be, let's face it, people that run this planet happen to be Caucasian. It is what it is. They've started every fucking plague, race, war, hatred, and just they spread so much shit all around the earth that we're not only in a real bad disaster of fucking climate control, and everybody's sitting here worrying about this guy getting elected in for another 4 years. What about climate control? What about what's going on with all these wildfires the last couple of years? Even now, I went from California, now it's real bad in Australia. What about all these fucking 5.7 magnitude earthquakes and tsunamis and shit? I mean, that have been occurring that they've been basically capping in the media, because a lot of you people out there are so brainwashed and so much into this in television bullshit that if the media doesn't say it or prove it, you guys don't believe it. Let me tell you something. Propaganda's a motherfucker. Now, I sat up here when I was Mike Son 007. I can't remember the other 4 names I've had prior to that on YouTube, but I've been up here a long time, and I used to try to spread what can happen and survival and what you need and stuff way before I started putting up hot toys. And I think I was putting up hot toys and stuff about a month or so before I even started showing my face, and everybody was like, "Oh, dude, that dude like Mr. T, and before everything went downhill, and even that channel started going downhill because of Odell and bullshit that he was dealing with, and then that other idiot over named Clipper King over in England. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I'm just basically speaking of the past, who basically fell into his nonsense because he felt a certain way and he felt jealous. I mean, people do crazy shit. Envy's a motherfucker. I mean, some people say, yo, you should be glad that somebody wants to be you so bad that they have so much hatred for you that they have to start shit, and all these other idiots want to follow them. I'm tired of sitting here bringing up this shit and videos, but I try to, you guys had way more than enough time to stock up. You guys, I think I showed a video of me with just one of my Foot Lockers. I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm not going to talk about what I have as far as being able to defend myself, and whatnot. One thing I was always taught growing up is never let the left hand know what the right hand doing. Now, we sit back and everybody's, trying to go to stores. Why y'all keep going to supermarkets and just trying to buy meat and pastas? Everywhere you go, and I guarantee you this is everywhere you guys are. Unless you're in a high, nice, middle or high society, neighborhood around a whole bunch of white folks, you're going to see a mass production of fruit and vegetables all over the place. A lot of high carb stuff and stuff like that. You guys are most of that stuff is going to be off of shelves, but every supermarket you run into, everybody has a huge amount of produce. Everybody. Why? Because a lot of y'all motherfuckers don't know how to eat and know how to take care of yourselves. Then you wonder why your health is diminishing and why you got this and that. I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't the healthiest eating person for the last couple of years neither. I ain't gonna say I let myself go, but I was like, fuck it. I was, like my eating habits had had a lot of attributes to do with my work ethic. I buy storage units and I sell them at the flea market, so a lot of good stuff wasn't available to me. And during the hours and stuff I was dealing with, especially back in Queens before we moved out here, I spent more time on the road and more time in storage units cleaning them out and in flea markets than being home. So my eating habits, I would eat one meal a day, and it'll be a huge meal. and then I would get a couple hours of sleep, not digesting that meal. Then I would continue the same thing. Then I would buy junk and sodas and water. I mean, I would buy a lot of stuff that I would just, put them in my body. Next thing you know, I start gaining. Then I would work out a little bit. And because I was lifting heavy stuff and cleaning out storage units by myself, 10 by 10s, 10 by 15s, 15 by 25s, 15 by 20s, by myself. I started gaining mass. So I started getting heavier because I would get bulkier, wider, and everybody know muscle weighs more than fat. So next thing you know, I was 305. I didn't look it because of the way my body is built, but I definitely felt it. Then I got diagnosed, probably I would say next month last year. No, next month from last year, which means this April coming up is when I believe I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. And I know a lot of people that got have amputations because of that, and I know how dangerous it is. So I was like, you know what, F that. So I just got rid of that, and I was like, listen, I'm gonna need all my limbs and need to train my family just in case this shit pop off. Because until I leave this ground, I would never stop looking at the sky and never stop reading in between the lines. I mean, I know how to read in between everybody's body language, whether they're professional or not. I knew Trump was going to be a disaster. I like Trump due to the fact that he speaks his mind. He was the only president that came in and did exactly what he said. I said this in a lot of videos, including videos with my late buddy Louis Pepe. I always said that. That's the one thing about him I can always like. There are a lot of things about Obama I didn't like, and a lot of it has something to do with the gays, the same-sex marriage stuff. I think marriage should be sacred between two opposite sexes, but that's just me. Now, for instance, I'm not gonna go. I'm not gonna go into the details. Because at the end of the day, you can't really judge. My daughter's godfather is gay, and I made him her godfather. I hung out with him. He is a cool guy. Very, very good dude. And to be honest, like even though I make a lot of jokes about racism, and sometimes I might think, oh, he's a racist. If I was really racist and hate people, I would have never, been there and done anything with and for my boy Vic Rosario. For a lot of people on the channels, I would never be there and make deals and make friends and acquaintances with anybody, including my boy Louis Pepe. Godspeed and rest in peace. And if he was a racist and his family's like that, his mother and father, especially at that peak of time when he passed away, would not have ever allowed me to sleep in the same, not only in Lewis's room, but that's the last place that he actually was alive. And not only that, me and my son washing our backsides and wiping our backsides on his personal toilet, as well as cleaning ourselves in the same area, in the same spot he lost his life in. So don't ever sit there and think that. When I say certain things, it's specifics for it, and everything I say has a lot to do with not only statistics, but it is true fact of why I say this. Some people may not like the term that I use. Sometimes I use certain terms and stuff. Somebody is out of anger, but at the same time, I sit here and I tell everybody I'm racist against everybody. I hate everybody in every race equally. If you piss me off or if you have something against me. But other than that, I really don't give a damn what color you are. I just call facts for what it is. Everybody say, "Oh, you're racist because you're saying this and that." Dude, history proves that. Caucasians done, white folks, Europeans done sat there and pledged war, havoc, and genocide on everywhere on the face of this planet. It's like it's embedded in their DNA, just like it's embedded in black folks' DNA to have hatred and anger toward each other. Like, for instance, I was looking at a video last night where, and I thought it was funny. This one young black dude, he had to be like maybe in his early mid or something 20s, and he was like he kept trying to fight this one old man. Now this guy definitely was old enough to be his grandfather. Now the young dude didn't have the proper skills to fight this old man, but being that the old man was old, and you could tell he was, his health wasn't that good. And a lot of us, especially a lot of people, like a lot of Hispanics and blacks, being that Hispanics ain't number blacks anyway, but when I say Hispanics, I mean black folks that are light skinned with straight hair who speak a broken Spaniard language. It's a mix between Spaniards and Portuguese language, which makes them up the Hispanic race. Anyway, again, look into that history as well. I never spit shit out my mouth that it is not backed up and it's not on paper. Maybe that's another reason why a lot of people don't like me, because everything I say, I don't contradict myself, because there's nothing to contradict. When you're a straight shooter and you speak the truth, Ain't never no reason to be caught in a lie because I'm who I am, and that's no reason why a lot of people up here on YouTube don't like a motherfucker like me. Because like for instance, I remember looking at like a lot of old. Last week I caught myself looking at a couple of videos on Phil Donahue's show alone. You can see all the hatred and anger in everybody on that show's eyes, especially if you look how unsubtle and how uncomfortable. Very few whites, including Phil Donahue, were very uncomfortable with Minister Louis Farrakhan. Now, if you look at Mr. Farrakhan's eyes and the smirk and stuff, it's not about him being uncomfortable and scared. It was just about him just basically saying, "I told you niggas, I told you." Like, you can look in his eyes and say, "See, this is what they do." And then all the white folks are just, white people are just so comfortable in their skin, knowing that black folks in this country, they have what they have now because of everything their ancestors, their family, friends, and other people that share their skin color and background did to the brown, black, and red people in the U.S. alone. Is why everybody who do videos and show videos on statues and everything else up here have what they have now, and they're in a situation they're in now because of what their people did to people of my skin color, lighter. And the reason why a lot of us are going through the shit we go through because we don't have no unity. Black folks, like Europeans didn't go to Africa and take black folks. It was the Spaniards, people from Portugal and Spain. Were the ones, the Spanish trade, they were the ones that were going over to Africa and getting idiotic barbarians all around the continent, of Africa to get darker skinned people to the shores, and it was sold to the Spaniards. That's how the majority of us got here. And if you look at the history of black folks, we have no unity. I mean, if you think about Africa, Africa is not a country, it's a continent. And you have a lot of different folks from different races and different skin textures. Even right now, you go to the Holy Pilgrimage, you go to Mecca, during the Holy Pilgrimage, and you have Ethiopians who don't get along with people from Senegal, Ivory Coast, Nigeria, and especially when you think about people from Morocco and Jordan, Cairo and Egypt, being that a lot of them are fair-skinned, like light-skinned people with straight hair. They treat the people, dark-skinned Africans, they treat them even worse than they do the Americans that took their Shahada from different countries. And it's funny because, and that's the reason Malcolm X said what he said. He wasn't trying to disrespect Elijah Muhammad, but he was basically spreading it like, we were taught that white people are devils, this, that, and the third, and But then he went to the Holy Land of Mecca, and they were all eating and drinking from the same stuff. And he realized that, you got people with blonde hair and blue eyes that are sitting here talking about Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And taking their, and making their salat 5 times a day and all that stuff. And, you think about a lot of people from Yugoslavia, some parts of Russia, Mongolia, being that Mongolian is like a mix of different, races, but a lot of them do look almost, they look almost like blacks, like they look like black Asians, a lot of them, and a lot of them are Muslim. A lot of people from Yucaristan and so many other countries in Eastern and Western Europe that are Muslim. And it's funny how most and the majority of so many American white people here, when they think of the name Muslim, they think of just a whole bunch of people, Iraqi and black or African people that are terrorists because of a religion. If that's the case, look at Christianity. Look at I can go on and on about that. They killed and created more genocide. And that's the reason why the Muslims had to fight against the Crusades and stuff like that, because they were chopping people head, they were beheading people, and they were bullying people all over Europe and the Middle East. I mean, I could go on and on with you guys, but again, this is supposed to be about the coronavirus and stuff. I am going off the beaten path, but I'm just just speaking in straight knowledge, and I'm going into all that because all this has a lot to do with propaganda, propaganda, and just having a whole bunch of idiots following everybody else. You guys got to stop following people and stop listening to shit just because it makes you comfortable. Just because something makes you comfortable don't make it right. You got people who get in cars and think they're comfortable enough to drive, and they want to take somebody's life, and or they get DWIs. Now they don't have vehicles, they have a bad record, and they have to go to jail and spend time in jail or go back and forth to courts because they thought they were comfortable enough to drive, and they thought it was comfortable enough for them because of their skin color or whatever vehicle they have. Sometimes, hey, it don't matter how comfortable you think you are. Sometimes you get burnt just on being arrogant. And, needless to say, again, going back to this, I've always been a person like I get collections of shit extremely quick because I make a lot of friends in garage yard sales, flea markets, and thrift shops because of my aura and the kind of person I am. When you don't have to fool somebody or have to be something or somebody you're not, when you're comfortable in your own skin, people become comfortable around you. You understand? And that's why some of y'all probably used to say to Lewis and Vic and so many other people, yo, like, why you hang out with that guy? Why you? And they say, oh, he's a good dude. He's a good person. They don't understand it because they're too busy putting a facade and they're being part of the propaganda with so many other people up here on YouTube that dislike me because I'm who I am and they wish they can be that. So that breeds, it's threatening to them because they're like, damn, I wish I could be like that, or for whatever reason. They might sit here and say that, and get the F out of here. But in all reality, it is what it is, and it's true. You understand? And again, I've always tried to warn all. If you guys listen and you start going to armies, how many of you guys seen hazmat suits, seen tons of N95 masks and all types of gloves that you could have stocked up on? Water. A lot of you guys only go out in the store and buy water when you need it. I've always stocked up on water. I wish I could just take this video right now and go downstairs in my basement and show you my area where we store stuff, because people don't have my address. And I hate to say it, but there's a good chance, there's a great chance that they may shut shit down even worse. Because think about it. Last week they said they put a stamp on Thursday, and if you guys notice, only information that need to be valid, excuse me, is what's going on with the so-called corona. Like, I have my own misinterpretations on what I think about this coronavirus. I'm all over the fence with it. I'm like, it could be a virus, and then somehow some kind of alien pathogen or pathogens build up through the ozone layer coming from space, coming from outside on the opposite side of the ozone layer that protects Earth's gravity for everything staying how it is and rotating the way it is, because of our atmosphere, and our ozone protects us from cosmic dust and so much shit and radiation coming through here and stuff. But again, that's a whole nother thing, man. I'm not gonna really get deep into all that because I'll be sitting here for 80 hours talking about this stuff. But some people might say, man, you're right. It's not about right or wrong. It's about you have to find this information for yourself. Like, when I was growing up, I remember that they used to have books of Ku Klux Klan members and families that they show pictures in books in school where you've seen a whole bunch of burnt and black ripped up people in, most of the time it was always in black and white, so they could wash down the graphics of you seeing this stuff in color. And of course, the pictures and the pictuations were never that good, but it was good enough for you to see the images, but not like crystal clear to what you can see now in a book or in a magazine or whatnot. But it was still clear enough to see the hatred and anger that people in the South did to people because of skin color. I never understood the whole mass hysteria of people hating people because of skin color. Like, really? Like, you have a hatred toward people and say these people are not 100% human, but then you get mad because, people tell you that, people from the South and a lot of those rednecks, they have sex with their own family members, which is a huge factor that they do, and they have. A lot of the fathers or grandfathers / uncles and cousins, like, it's disgusting how they are. It's even in the Jewish religion is like that. In their religion, they think it's okay to procreate with their first and second cousins. Italians do it too, because they say, oh, it keeps the bloodline pure. No, it fucks up the bloodline. You can't have two of the same bloods mixing together, because then it becomes retarded, or it mutates in a bad way. You understand? But anyway, I'm not going to really go into all that and act like, you guys know what I'm getting at with this. But, this whole thing is crazy, man. And, if you guys listen, man, you guys will have so much supplies and so much stuff to be able to protect yourself. Not everybody want to go out and buy all the Puro. Now everybody want to go out and buy all this. I mean, I went to the store today and I'm shaking my head looking at people like, look at these fucking idiots. They walk around with these gloves on and these stupid ass masks. Half of them are surgical masks, not even surgical masks or N95 masks. People in the medical field and regular people are still getting sick. They're still catching this coronavirus. Now, going back to what I was saying, like, you know, you don't know if the ozone layer, you don't know what's going on with this shit. It could, you know, maybe it could be a virus and or that helped magnitude it, or maybe it was a bio warfare engineered, you know, virus, and those pathogens helped, or maybe, you know, again, you know, for years we all know that they've been trying to deal with and find a new world order before the first plane took off in Boston on September 11, 2001. Shit really started hitting the fan. They made sure that shit started hitting the fan since 2001. So technically for 19 years now, the world, especially the US, has been fighting itself. It's a devil's advocate, a catch-22, an oxymoron. On both sides, they play, just like for instance, there's really no difference between a DA who's prosecuting you, and if you can't afford it, an 18B lawyer and or a legal aid lawyer. They're all part of the same group. You know, these people, the 18B lawyer, that person owes the city or owes the court time for them going to school and stuff. They are private lawyers and they're way better than a legal aid lawyer, but at the same time, they're still working in the same kind of atmosphere. The DA is they run the whole show all the way up to your trial. So if you plan on fighting everything, they run everything up until your trial. Only at the trial, they don't have no power. They have to find, without reasonable doubt, they have to find you guilty. Unexplanatory, they have to find you guilty 100%, not 98 or 99. They have to find you guilty 100 more percent in order for you to be found guilty. That's the only time the government, the people, don't have any say-so over what you're going through. And then the legal aid is a small group of people that are basically volunteers. They get paid, but they don't get paid like regular lawyers. They are a volunteer group that are set up through the same fucking office, the same damn government that runs the DA's office. So you know they are going to run the shit out of these two groups until you go to trial, or they figure, yo, let's just throw it away and get it over with. Why? Because they know they control all of it. Same thing with the Democrats and Republicans. They always have two sides of it so they can make it seem fair. You guys ever notice how when you go to court, they have that fucking justice as blind bullshit? Like they have like two figures on each side of this. I forgot they call that shit. The thing that weighs. I know the name. I just can't think of it right now because I got too much shit in my mind. The pendulum. The pendulum. There you go. So they got these two things here, and it has a justice. They have the figure in the middle on both sides is blind. It's blindfolded, and then it has that thing equal. That's all bullshit. That's all just a seal of garbage. Just like all this bullshit that's going on right now with the news and stuff. You guys got to wake up and smell the coffee. Again, going back to all these fucking magnitude earthquakes and stuff. Ask yourself, why is it that they're sitting here and they're focusing on this? And then how you go from calling it two different entities, two different viruses. It went from being called coronavirus to now being called COVID-19. Why are they switching it around now? Since before December, the Chinese, they were basically holding it and trying to keep it from leaving their land. And then the first doctor that exposed it, who studied it and warned not only the Chinese government, which is a government of dictatorship, but he tried to spread it throughout the world and get it out there. And he was the fucking first one to die of that virus. So if police officers and detectives are not trained to believe in coincidence, why are people out there so fucking brainwashed to believe it? The only time a lot of you idiots think, and the reason I'm calling people idiots because y'all stupid. You know, when you sit back and put so much in a government you can't trust, how can you trust a government that think it's okay for people to go out and follow people around just because they have hoodies and they're not in their neighborhood, to shoot them and get away and legally get away with it? Or have police officers put people in illegal chokeholds, get caught on camera doing it, and still don't suffer no repercussions publicly about it. But at the same time, they want to sit back and they want to prosecute the person that actually engineered this whole fucking video on physically and visually showing you what happened to this brother Eric Gardner. And then, of course, I was talking about the whole Trayvon Martin situation. Then you got police officers that are shooting unarmed, handicapped people in wheelchairs on Facebook and legally getting away with it because they're trained to believe and say very few words. I was scared. I thought my life was in danger. I thought this person was reaching for my weapon. Why you ever notice how when cops are on top of people and there's so many cops and they're hurting, they're almost breaking a person's arm and they're doing all this, you always hear them saying stop resisting. They do the same thing in the Department of Corruption. I mean, Department of Correction. When they feel like and they videotaping and they hurting and putting their hands on people, they got so many that trained to put certain people around, even if there's cameras, even if they purposely have cameras videotaping, they still doing harmful things to people, even after they put cuffs on them, because they figure by verbally saying stop resisting, that gives them enough to use excessive force. You guys and girls out here have to stop being sheep and stop being fucking stupid and stand up to your government. Because by the time they come knocking on your door, you're going to be praying and begging for help. And let me tell you something. Jesus, God, Allah, Muhammad, Hamza, Moses, the Messiah, your rabbi are not going to come down and rescue you. They're not going to come to your fucking aid. If they didn't do it during the Holocaust, if they didn't do it during slavery, hell, if they ain't do it during that crazy ass white boy with the red hair who killed those 9 people in church, if they ain't coming out doing that, they're not gonna come down for y'all motherfuckers. You know, only thing that's gonna help your ass is Smith & Wesson, Ruger, goddamn 1911, shotgun, AR-15. The only thing that begets violence is violence. Let me tell you something. That's the only, just like fire. You know, only thing that can kill off fire, is suffocation. You know what I'm saying? Think about it. Everybody know the fire is a fucking living element. It breathes and it gets stronger through oxygen. If you suffocate it, why do you think if you put water over it? Water has another, you guys already know. I'm not going to sit here and tell you about science. You guys should already know what water has in it and what the air has in it. So, one needs the other to survive, but at the same time, they both can use each other to suffocate each other. Why do you think you have animals and creatures in the sea that as soon as they come in, into the realm of oxygen, they suffocate and they can die because they need water, not air, to survive. And the same thing for us. For creatures that live above and over water, we go down there, we suffocate and drown because we need oxygen. For the same reason why people think people breathe oxygen out. No, we don't. This is why you need trees. Trees breathe out. We breathe out poison. Humans breathe out carbon monoxide. And we trade it with trees. Trees breathe out oxygen. They breathe in carbon monoxide. We breathe out carbon monoxide and breathe in fucking oxygen. Holla at your boy. Again, I could sit here for hours and try to explain it to you. Right now, I'm sitting here doing another live video and I got one person watching. That's all good because whoever keeps watching my video is the smartest motherfucker up here because you guys don't know how to protect yourselves, man. Now they're sitting here, Department of, DOJ, for those who don't know the abbreviation of that. Department of Justice is what it's called. This is the same people that run the SSI, the CIA, the NSA. The CIA stands for Central Intelligence Agency. The NSA stands for National Security Agency. And then you got the worst of all of them, which is almost like being like police. They're all over the place. Which you have, I can't think of the fucking name. I just had it. Oh my God. Homeland Security. Homeland Security came about right after 9/11. These are another group of individuals that can do and get away with a lot of shit due to whatever. FBI, we all know that stands for Federal Bureau of Investigations. Now, the people that run the DOJ, which is, really the head of all of it, which is the people that oversee everything, which is the Department of Justice, which is the FBI. That's why we look at their shields and their badge and their IDs that says Department of Justice on it. Then you have DHS, and anybody know that, the Department of Homeland Security. I mean, you got all these alphabet boys and girls in this. I know my shit because of knowledge, because of reading, sitting back and reading in between the lines. Not, you don't need a fucking school to sit here and understand and see how the world and how everything works and how evil your governments are. The more power you implement, the more power and the more money and finances you have, the more your chance of becoming wicked and evil, because you run around thinking you're better and than everybody else. People don't understand one man can't make a difference. If you got somebody like Michael Xavier Johnson who killed, I forgot how many police officers he killed in Texas, but he made his point strong. This is one dude that did his homework, studied, and he basically crippled Texas. Even though they blew his ass up, you know, he was so good at sniping that they blew his ass up in a fucking parking structure because that's how much of a threat he made. And the government don't want you to realize just how powerful you are, and don't want you to understand just how one man can make a difference. Timothy McVeigh, prime example of a man. Yeah, I say he was a monster, but you know, your own government is thousands, hundreds of times worse than this guy. He took out, you know, the federal building in Oklahoma. I give him thumbs up for that. Fuck them. Because at the end of the day, the federal government and the FBI don't give a shit about you. So fuck them. You know what I'm saying? He did the right fucking thing, man. I mean, again, these are prime examples. The DC snipers, they just basically show power on all sides to show just how really one man who basically, you know, manipulated another, but just go to show just how one man can make a difference. I'm not sitting here calling these guys heroes and whatnot, or I'm not sitting here calling them evil or whatever. Anyway, same thing with the bombing of Boston. I mean, you know, these are individuals that I think some people had more help from the government than others, and I think some people were just fed up with the system and fed up with what the fuck was going on. That these are people that were just conspiracy theorists and people that were just so sick of the government and seeing where the government was going. They basically figured that they would basically start their own U.S. kind of sell thing to what the Middle Eastern terrorists do, and it didn't work that way because again, people are just too comfortable with thinking that they're better, they're larger than life, and they're better than their government. Because in reality, you know, the government works for us, not the other way around. But so many people are terrified and afraid and intimidated because the government tries to intimidate people. When they can't intimidate you, they try to lock you up so they can suicide you off. They want to keep you away from weapons and lock you up in an environment where they can control, like they did with I forgot his name already. I got so much shit in my mind I can't think of his name. But you guys know the guy who this guy who basically was going to tell on Trump and shit. Now all of a sudden he gets found in a jail cell. He commits suicide. This is a man that has no history of suicide or anything like that. And we all know that that Trump, he's a piece of shit. He done had sex and probably forced himself upon so many women in the field. This is a guy who owed taxes. Red Fox, Peter Falk, Wesley Snipes, so many others been fucking ridiculed, prosecuted, and everything. A lot of shit was taken from them when they didn't pay taxes. But because Trump is so powerful and got so many powerful allies, IRS never went after him. This is not only did they not go after him, but they still allowed this motherfucker to get into the highest office in the U.S. This is a man that has so much, and so many of his friends and buddies. You know, they always say birds of a feather flock together, and you know, people are always guilty by association. Almost everybody he hang around with been caught up in doing the same shit Bill Cosby did, if not even worse. But Bill Cosby black ass is in prison. And he's in prison because he rubbed the wrong people the fucking wrong way. And this is a man that's publicly known that he don't care for white folks too much. But he's also known for not caring about his own people too much neither. And he just basically got too high strung. And because he made too many enemies on all sides, that the characteristics help breed him to be put where he is right now. That plus the fact that there was no way in hell NBC was going to allow a nigga. If you notice, black folks may have riches on this land, but they don't have fucking wealth. There's a difference between being rich and having wealth. You know, you got a lot of white folks like Trumps and the Bushes. They have wealth. You know, there's a difference. People still pay. Like right now, Oprah Winfrey has wealth now because she done sucked, fucked, and worked her way up to destroying her own people and doing what the fuck they wanted her to do, how she wanted to do it, that she was smart enough to implant her own wealth into her riches. But that was very few. Bill Cosby worked his way up that way too by just being America's dad and getting into the right entities and the right stocks and stuff in the right moments back in the 80s when, you know, racism and shit was still like it was under where you see my hand right now. Then little by little in the late 80s and the 90s, the racism and everything started coming up again. And now it's to the point where it's way up here where you don't see my hand no more. It's so far up that everything's already drowned in it, and they figure, fuck it. Let the niggas sit back and do their little protests and talk about Black Lives Matter movements and all this other jibber jabber. Sooner or later, they'll go down to it. And all this has a lot of significance to do with what's going on now. Why? Because everything I'm telling you and saying not only proves the propaganda and the hysteria and the nonsense, because let's face it, the true people behind all this shit don't give a fuck about where you come from. They don't care about what race you are, what language you speak. I mean, it's all over. Look what's going on all over the world. Italy's affected by it. We all know Europe's going to be affected all over Europe. You know, it's going on in Australia. It's going to happen and go on even crazier in England and everywhere. So that goes to show the people that's really behind this, they probably, believe. Why do you think so many people have tests that's available to them? I'm not just talking about people like Kevin Durant. I'm talking about the real people, the real big dogs. You mean to tell me that Trump was around this so-called prime minister of Brazil who tested positive? So everybody around Trump test positive except him. So he's got what, tiger blood? What, he thinks he's fucking Charlie Sheen now? Charlie Sheen was breeding that shit in his mind for so fucking long because of his delusion, because he was so delusional that he thought he couldn't catch AIDS or HIV or whatever. Now the motherfucker's full bloodshot. It was to the point where it was gonna lock his ass up because he done infected a lot of women. Same thing with this whole thing with Usher, with him being what is that shit he got? Herpes or some shit like that. Where a judge told him that if you give any other female anywhere in the US herpes, he's going to jail for the rest of his life. This is what a judge told Usher. And it's the same thing. But again, Trump gets away with a lot of shit. Now he's trading secrets with the Russian ape, the Russian bald-headed baboon, Putin. He's another piece of shit. I mean, come on, man. Anybody who still runs Russia, I mean, come on. Russia is a corrupt, fucked up dictatorship. If you haven't seen one, that's probably the biggest. They caused so much scandal all over Eastern and Western Europe. They done did more dirt and shit all over. It's disgusting. You think Chernobyl was an accident? I mean, the Ukraine, all this shit. Like, come on, man. It's funny how people are. You sit back and see how the European Jews and the Russians were treated by the Germans during, World War II, pre-World War II, to World War II, even after. You figure, you always ever wondered how when people get abused by their parents, why they grow up to be abusers, or when parents, or they're raised by crackheads and dope fiends, you figure that person will grow up to become a cop or become a narc so they can get rid of drugs because they see how fucked up their family. But no, the psyche of the human being is so fucked up that the same people that they lie, like they realize that they got friends and neighbors that shit that they don't have, that they wish they had, they don't have because their parents smoked up everything and sold everything. And you figure they grow up to be on the opposite side to help fight that. But no, they wind up being the ones that not only supply their parents, but they become even bigger pushers than the person that's selling the shit to the parents. And the same thing with a lot of people that have been sexually abused. They grow up becoming porn stars or sex addicts and fucking freaks, mentally disturbed. They all bipolar, bisexual, and all this other crazy shit. And they grow up being abused by family members or whatever, and then they wind up becoming bigger abusers than their family. They wind up whooping their kids' asses and doing child abuse. But you figure it'd be the opposite. But that's just goes to show how propaganda and hysteria fucks with the human psyche. You have to be a very rare, smart individual like myself who can understand and get past this shit and just deal with it. Because not only is it common sense, it's just common sense. And it's like, again, everybody wants to go to the store and buy. Like, I went to the store this morning. I wasn't sitting here looking for anything in specific. I was just going there to get certain essentials so I can make some other stuff just to make. Because I'm in a mood for spaghetti. Everybody in the house loves spaghetti, and my spaghetti is sick. And, I was like, fuck it. I'm going to make spaghetti. I was trying to find more spaghetti noodles. Unfortunately, didn't have them, but whatever. I got 3 boxes. Normally, when I make spaghetti, I have to make 4 to 6 boxes to hold my family for days because they'll eat my spaghetti for lunch, breakfast, and dinner 2 or 3 days in a row. So it is what it is. Plus, spaghetti is one of those meals that I don't like leftovers. I never did. Even like I can eat leftovers, maybe stretching it maybe 3 days if it's like a Thanksgiving, Christmas type of meal deal. I can do that. But other than that, nah. Hold on one second. Nature calls. I'll be right back after these messages. Zay, do me a favor. Can you go downstairs and give me a water in a bottle?
Where's your cup?
I don't have a cup.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So sorry if you guys heard those sound effects. You know, everybody has to use the restroom. Nature calls, nature calls. And of course, some people say, "Oh yeah, you wash your hands." You know, first of all, anybody who learns proper etiquette, any man and woman or child should know, whenever you use the restroom, whether you do number one or number two, always wipe yourself. And I always tell guys, and I tell my sons, you know, when you doing number one, you should always wipe yourself and wash yourself. And then you should also put like either a napkin or some tissue on the tip, if you guys know what I mean. So that way you don't stain your underwear or get urine. You know what I mean? It's just proper edification. So my kids do it, all my kids. And you should always wash your hands. You don't need the coronavirus to tell you that after you do anything or pick up or lift anything, you should always wash your hands. That's just disgusting not to. I got enough water to last me for about 8 to 9 months. Now, when I say me, I mean me personally. Actually, probably longer than that. But for 5 people in this house, I have enough water to last us maybe, I would say a good maybe 6.5, almost 7 months. If we rationalize it right. I am still going to be picking up waters and toilet paper and other essentials. Now, moving off from this other thing, I don't need to keep going back and forth with this. You guys should understand where I'm going with it. If you don't, then I don't know why you've been watching this video for the last almost hour. Again, I only have one viewer, one person watching, so it's just crazy and sad. But it's all good though. If I, to say each one teach one, right? So if I can teach one person, that one person can go back and show a video to somebody else. Maybe not directly, but indirectly, the point is getting across. At the end of the day, that's all that matters. I will continue looking at and enjoying my eye candy and my nostalgia things behind me until hell hits the fan and until we have to evacuate or whatever. Then I'll do what I need to do, and I'll be okay. Because you guys have to ask yourself. It gets to the point where now, like I said, Department of Justice is sitting here talking about they want to suspend the constitutional right. I mean, all this shit is basically right in your face, and it's like they think y'all stupid, and they're basically trying, like they've been trying to get gun control, and they've been. Remember how I've been saying that I believe the government has been starting this hysteria with shootings, public shootings. They brainwash people. They use specific social misfits to do all this shit, so they can find ways to brainwash people, so they can get enough people fed up to try to pass laws to where people got to give their guns up. You see what was going on in Virginia right before this, about a month and a half ago, where they were sitting here trying to ban motherfuckers from even having knives and slingshots and crossbows. Why? So you don't have all you could use is your hands. So your hands against automatic weapons is not going to work. You know what I'm saying? And they know that. This is why this government don't want no kind of resistance. When they come in and bully people and kill who they want to kill, you know, because they want to depopulate this planet. And now this is they finally found something to be able to make it global and get all y'all in a frenzy and create all types of hysteria. So now the last thing on their mind now, and I already knew this was coming ever since, you know, President Trump. I keep saying Bush. Sat back and he did that BS with the I already saw it coming. I knew it was coming for years. Way before him, man, way before Obama, even before Bush. I knew this was coming. I'm surprised it came this late, but now I'm a little worried, not for myself, but for my children, because God forbid if I ever have to take somebody from the Department of Justice out, or anybody else who tries to trespass against my family and my rights as a human. Fuck what they thinking about the government. The government don't oversee my family or oversee the rights of my life. You know, I will be a person that will sit there and take their life. And I put it on YouTube and I'm saying it, and I mean that shit. Because at the end of the day, my rights as a human being and as somebody who has rights on this fucking planet, fuck the rights of your bullshit ass constitution of how you guys want to play because you're the Department of Justice. That shit don't mean shit to me. It don't mean a fucking thing. When it comes to me and mine, I will take somebody's life without even fucking blinking an eye or hesitating. I've been sitting up here doing these videos for years. And if you don't know me enough now, you should take heed and listen to me now. I say this shit without prejudice of anything, just straight fucking facts. And there's a lot of people like me, regardless if they share my skin color or not, or even like my skin color or not, who believe the same thing I believe. That's why a lot of motherfuckers have. Unfortunately, I don't have the arsenals and the people to join me like all these other people do in other states and stuff. But this is why this government has been putting a plan in effect. You guys ever notice, like, even in New York, I always ask myself, for those who visit, you ever notice how you see a lot of, they call them police cades, where they would have like 15 or more police cars. They would do some cops would do roll call, right? You know, they would do roll call and they'll have like 15 police cars set up, and they would just strategically, you know, go up certain areas back to back with these vehicles. Now you have a lot of police officers that have those same kind of vehicles that they use in the Fast and Furious 5 movie with that The Rock had. I think Fast and Furious 5 or 6, that weird looking armored vehicle. They have a lot. They have police departments have a lot of those shits now. You think they got it? Well, why did they got it? You think they got it for SWAT to go in and save people's lives? Hell no. They got that shit so that way when they fucking come and try to come into your neighborhood and police you. Because let's face it, the police has been a police state and been bullying people for years. They purposely and strategically set up and use social media. They found a way to use social media to their advantage by allowing shootings and killings and crazy ass fucking police officers that they know are off the war path. Why do you think they help these cops? And out of the public eye, they get lesser sentencing. Sentences, and they have to go to school, and they have to go speak to psychs and all this shit, and they get off. They get off easy. Some get off easier than others, but you think that, you know what I'm saying? Why do you think there's so many cops killing unarmed people, especially people of color? Because, you know, they're a threat. Just like the whole thing that I was saying almost 40 minutes ago about the whole Louis Farrakhan thing. If you notice, look at the old Phil Donahue show. You never heard Louis Farrakhan talking about killing whites and this, that, and the third. But you always hear him talk about in his videos and speeches how white folks are uncomfortable and scared because they feel that it's going to get to the point where black folks are going to do to them what we have suffered all out through the history of this country. And that's what scares them. They're afraid of, they're already intimidated and scared of people of color because we're just basically, we look more aggressive. We're more physically fit. We're just stronger in every aspect of the way. And it's a threat to them on how we are. And they're threatened by us. So they automatically feel that we're going to take over. It's not about that. You know, a lot of people just want, you know, they're just sick and tired of living amongst white folks and they just want to have their own, you know, and they just don't want to deal with it no more. And they feel like, oh, that's you know, hey, that's a no. No, you can't do that. Or why you want to move? I mean, why this? I mean, it's crazy. But again, this is all part of everything I'm saying. It's part of hysteria. It's part of propaganda. It's a big propaganda. And this the media is never and never has been for you. It never has been for people of color. It's never been at all. No, it doesn't benefit you. It was never meant to benefit you. If anything, it was always meant to exploit you. And that's exactly what they do now. I mean, think about it now. You look at the news compared to when they first started talking about the coronavirus, even before they changed the name from coronavirus to COVID-19. You know, every time, even now, every time they upgrade the news, it gets worse and worse. They double talk, double clap on what they're saying, but at the same time, that Dr. Melfi or Melfi, what the fuck his name is, and everybody else, they all got these stupid, puzzling looks in the looks of guilt. You know, and then they're like, you know, they keep turning around, and now all of a sudden they're saying, oh, well, if you don't have the symptoms, then you shouldn't do this and that. But it's okay for the Vice President Michael Pence to sit here and do it. And he's the first one to go up there and verbally say, oh, well, if you don't have the symptoms, then you shouldn't be tested for it. So if that's the case, then why he got tested for it? Not only did he get tested for it, but now they're testing his wife too. What the fuck that bitch got to do with him? And I'm gonna tell you something. If one or two people got it, and I believe if anything, Trump had it and they cured it or whatever, that means other people in the White House got it. You know, just like people saying, "Oh, well, an inmate on Rikers Island got it." A motherfucker got it because somebody, a guard or a worker, brought it in. If you're in a secluded area where you can't go nowhere, how else did they get in there? They handcuffed and locked up the coronavirus itself and fingerprinted it, you know, and arraigned it, and then they got reprimanded and they put it on a fucking bus going to Queens. And then, you know, it got in the cell and it was in a day room playing cards, chess, or dominoes, and on a phone, and that person picked up the phone, and that's how they got it because of an invisible so-called virus. If that, come on, man, wake the fuck up, y'all. Stop being so fucking stupid. If y'all ain't, I'm gonna stop doing these videos because if y'all idiots out there ain't gonna learn, if you ain't gonna learn now, you ain't gonna never fucking learn. Because I've been telling everybody about this shit for years. Oh, he's just a fucking conspiracy theorist. Why is it so hard to believe people that are into conspiracy theories? I always theorize every fucking thing, and I believe and know that this government killed JFK, just like I know they killed Malcolm X and fucking Martin Luther King, and they helped set up Bill Cosby. I mean, he helped, but he did it to himself. But at the end of the day, they made sure they hook, line, and sinker that. Same thing with R. Kelly, two black, powerful, rich motherfuckers, but at the same time, you got Jerry Seinfeld out in the. I mean, come on, Jerry Seinfeld. He's a Jew. But he was a popular Jew. He was a lovable Jew. So when he was dating and fucking around with a 15 and 16-year-old, didn't he marry her when she was 17 or something like that? That's not a legal 18 or 9 or 21 year age. He got away with it because he's a Jew and it happened in New York. Let's face it. Yeah, people don't like. I always speak what people don't like. This is a grown ass man. He was what, in his fucking 30s? I think 30s, late 30s or something like that when he was fucking around. What kind of a person sits there and allow a child, even a 21-year-old or a 20-year-old, 19-year-old? Why would you allow a 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, or 20-year-old child that's still not legal under law? Let me tell you something. If you're not legal to go in somewhere and get cigarettes and or alcohol, then you shouldn't be legally allowed to be going out there fucking and sucking on some motherfucking person that's old enough to be your pop. I'm sorry, but that's a pedophile. But he got away with it because he's a white Jew with money. Let's face it. I call this shit for what it is. I don't care if people like it or not. This world is fucked up. You know, it ain't for me to come up here and be liked or loved. I come up here and spread the fuck it is, because at the end of the day, I don't talk to 99.99% of y'all motherfuckers, and I damn sure don't break bread with y'all. So I don't really give a shit what anybody think of me up here. You got a problem with me? I got no problem giving you my address and fucking you up on and meeting you in person and putting the beats on your ass. All I'm gonna say is, you know, this camera is the show YouTube. What the fuck is popping? At the end of the day, I ain't gonna sit here and say I could beat the world, but I'm always confident in anything I say and anything I do, physically, mentally, emotionally, or spiritually. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, get back to that. Again, it's just funny, you know. Everything is playing its part. Now all of a sudden, DOJ is sitting there talking about, oh yeah, well, you know, we're looking to suspend the constitutional rights. No, you're looking to take away people's rights legally. So this way, if they kill off some of y'all motherfuckers, they could be held accountable as murderers. Because hey, when you took off, ain't anybody half their mind is not gonna sit there and allow that. And you guys are gonna have a fucking civil war and a fucking pandemic. You're gonna have an epidemic on your hands and a lot of shit. Because if you know what I'm saying, if a motherfucker like Timothy McVeigh can do what he did to a fucking, I ain't gonna say a sleeping, but a conceited giant, imagine with a whole bunch of motherfuckers that ain't allowing y'all nasty ass, ignorant ass fucking Department of Justice wannabe motherfuckers. I call it Department of Joke. Because that's all y'all are. You know, y'all ain't never for the people. Y'all all about your agenda and the good of your pay grade. That's all y'all give a fuck about. Because let's face it, you sit back and think you're arrogant and better than the average people or average person. In reality, we give y'all the power, but people in this country are too naive and too lazy to sit here and let you guys know that we'll die for it. You know, and that's the sad thing about it. People are too lazy and caught up in, oh, I'm American. Oh, I'm you know, you want to be arrogant and conceited. They're already sitting here talking about they want to do martial law or make sure that people don't go nowhere at night. Man, if I want to get my fucking car and go drive somewhere, you better have 3 or 4 police cars behind me and make sure that everybody get up their car at the same time. If you're gonna try to hold me or give me a ticket or think you're gonna sit there and question me, I'm a grown ass fucking man that don't. If I ain't out there shoplifting or robbing somebody or selling drugs to somebody, to where a Constitution states that if I commit a crime, I basically become awarded to the state or city, then you don't got nothing over me. And that's the reason why they want to take your fucking Constitution away from you guys. They want to suspend it. What? And again, what the fuck does the Constitution and taking and suspending people's constitutional rights have to do with a virus? Why is this virus global? First of all, why is it global? Not contained, but why is it global? And then on top of it being global, now you're sitting here talking about you want to take people's constitutional rights because in the U.S. we have a different set of constitutional rights than globally, than how they do it in Europe and how they do it in Asia. You know what I mean? I don't know why my mouth is so fucking dry. But it just doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense. Only way it makes sense is because of the New World Order and martial law. For you guys out there that think us conspiracy theorists are retarded, crazy ass, weird theorist thinking motherfuckers, then here you go. Niggas like me told y'all fucking arrogant, stupid, conceited, no way to protect yourself, no way to plan, and no way to idiots. We've been telling y'all this shit for years. For years, we've been telling you to be prepared and ready for this. Y'all didn't want to listen to niggas. If anything, I may outdo and outlive a lot of y'all motherfuckers out there, and I may outsupply y'all because I've been preparing for this shit for a long time. It may not be this virus, but I've been preparing for some crazy ass pandemonium and hysteria because I knew it was gonna come in a form to where they would basically use one fucking shade and umbrella to cause and deal with another. Because they know the best way to distract people is to create hysteria. So that way, when they come in, it'll make it seem like they're doing it for the greater good. They're not doing it for the fucking greater good. They're doing it for the greater evil. Because at the end of the day, you think these governments spend your tax dollars to protect you? No, they use your tax dollars to prove to the other nations that they're bigger and badder than you. Why do you think that this country, this government, are one of the only ones on this planet that can go to any other land and force they do on them? You know, you can't get Iranians or Iraqis or people of other lands to come to the U.S. and just, you know, put their soldiers down and then run around patrolling your streets and telling you what to do. That's terrorism. But this country is allowed to do that. And then they want to sit there and tell people, thank you for your service. And thank you for your service for what? Or you making America? How are you going to foreign land making this country great and better again? I never understood that. As a military person, how the fuck can you possibly make America safe by going into foreign land and using the U.S.'s bullshit guidelines and dictatorship to force their ways on a foreign people? But if a foreign people do it here, it's terrorism. But when you do it over there, it's all about fucking teaching freedom. How can you help other people when you're not even helping people here in your own land? Until these motherfucking soldiers deploy in the city streets and start following and policing police and stopping police from shooting unarmed blacks and unarmed Latinos and planting drugs and stuff because of their racist parents and they grew up being racist assholes, then you're not, you're not helping the American people. You're not. So, and then people say, oh, police officers and firefighters are heroes. They're not fucking heroes. Let me tell you something. Anytime you get a paycheck and you get paid and have a pension to do your job, you're doing exactly what the fuck you're paid to do. If you're a civilian and you run into a burning building and you help somebody, even if you get a couple of buckets of water or you got a fucking water hose in your house and you help extinguish a fire from a neighbor or whatever, that's heroism because you're doing it for the greater good. You're not doing it because you get a fucking paycheck for it. So I get tired of people saying, oh, the brave or the boldest, or they call the finest. How the fuck are police departments the finest? Finest of what? Finest at planting shit and killing people? The finest of falsifying arrests and magnifying arrests to make arrests stick? How the fuck is that? How is that the finest of police departments all around the U.S.? When cops are killing unarmed people all over the place and planting shit. And now they're talking about, oh, well, DNA study shows that this person just got released from 12 or 17 or 25 years. You got 25 years that was taken from people because of racist ass fucking corrupt systems. And they say, oh, well, the law is the law. I think if you do that, you should go out there and be able to put a bullet in any fucking cop who look like a racist head or go after anybody in the fucking court, whether it's a judge or not, and blow their fucking head off. And you should at least be able to get them away with it one time and show them a car. Say, hey, you can't lock me up for it. That judge reminded me of the judge that sent me away. Oh, that fucking jury reminded me of the juror that sent me away. Oh, that detective and that cop reminded me of the one that locked me up and planted shit on me. So you can't do it. I have a get out of jail free card one time because I spent fucking 12, 17 or 20 something years in prison because of a fucked up corrupt judicial system hating black people. So this is my free card. They should do that shit. Same way where if you get locked up as a fucking felon or whether you're a detainee or a convict, there's a difference between a detainee and a convict. Convict is short for convicted felon. A detainee is a person that's actually being detained in a detention center or a jail or whatever until he and or she is awaited trial and or is found guilty of a crime that sends them to prison. So either way you look at that detainee or fucking convict, anytime they get caught up and they get into a fight, anything, inside of jail, you can get in trouble and get sent to the box or, remain on, whatever kind of fucking restrictions that they had that you no longer have privilege to, even in jail. They got three tiers. You got three tiers. You got tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3. Those are 3 different tiers of punishment. And at the end of the day, they all are equivalent to you losing money in your commissary, which means like whatever money you have that your family and or friends or loved ones send you, you have an account, you have an inmate account, and they take money out your account. They take $15 out your account for every time you get in trouble. And they are, even if you're innocent, so you could be on a line in front of mad COs on a food line waiting to get food, and somebody can come right fucking behind you and punch you in your head, knock you out cold. Guess what? You still going to the fucking box. It's no different than a parolee. A parolee can get hit by a car just because police officers are called on scene. Just as the police officers ask you, are you okay? You can get locked up for that cop asking you, are you okay? Why? Because that's police contact. That's how fucked up the system of this land is. So the whole thing is fucking ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Now you're going to sit here and tell me that the fucking Department of Justice want to suspend people's constitutional rights? Let me tell you something. When FBI send police officers to come knock on your door, they're going to have a lot of police officers getting killed. They're going to have a lot of first responders getting their heads blown the fuck off. And then when the FBI and they cheap ass 2 and 3 piece suits come knocking on your fucking door with their little shitty ass fucking little FBI vest, a lot of them going to be on people's lawns headless because motherfuckers going to be blown away. And a lot of them ain't going to be black folks or Latinos or red men. A lot of them going to be full-blooded, patriotic, blonde hair, blue eyed white motherfuckers who got AR-15s and got weapons and they just waiting. A lot of them may not be conspiracy theorists or believe in the shit I believe in, but I damn sure can guarantee you that they are going to be there to protect their family. Because let me tell you something. When they come down to it and when hysteria breaks out and people start getting fucking terrified, hungry, and scared, and they know that they can't depend and trust the law, it's gonna be a fucking real bad civil war. And they're not gonna win. And no matter how many bombs they got, the only way they're gonna have to do it, it's gonna be suicide. Which means you're like, fuck it, I'm gonna take them with me. That's how the government's gonna have to play, because it's not gonna play out the way they want it. They think they're smart, but they're not. But they're only not smart if you people go out there and wake the fuck up and realize, you got, same way people have to fight and lose their lives for their rights to fight off fucking slavery and the rights to be able to vote, drink out the same water fountains, and go to the same schools, teach in the same schools, live in the same fucking neighborhoods, but they're still fighting for their life right now to this day. The same people that fought against their own tyrant, their own fucking European king, to make America their land and to get away from the fucking scrutiny under their king, the same way people died for that and died for the fucking civil war between the North and the South, you're going to have to do that here too. Unfortunately, the saying is true. And I don't believe in it being a fucking metaphor. It's a symbol. It's a assembly, plain and simply. When you don't sit there and you don't correct the laws and you don't correct shit, it always happens again. Which basically means that when it's not corrected, it can happen again. And that's exactly what's happening. People don't get it. They don't understand it. You got country, then the reason why this country is always in the bed with Israel, because they helped Israel get in their power since 1948. Let's face it, 1944, 1946, 1947, it was still called Palestine. The name got changed from fucking Palestine to Israel. And then people wondering, them fucking Palestinians are racist and they're this and that. They run around killing all. How are you going to, somebody just come in and take your fucking land, throw you out? Basically, the Israelis do the same. They ain't no fucking different than Hitler's army. They're doing the same fucking thing to the Palestinians as Hitler did to fucking all other parts of Eastern and Western Europe. So what makes them any different? Why? Because they're the friends of the USA. Think about it. You go to the Harlem, you go to the projects, you go to, I don't care if you go to Washington Heights, the Polo Grounds, Watts, Compton, Long Beach, fucking Oakland. You go to Cook County, you go to Dade County. I can only speak on places I've visited and been to and know how dangerous and crazy it is all around the U.S. It's crazy, y'all. It's just, oh my God. Y'all can see here, this nigga always talking out his mouth. Out his ass. You're right. I'm always talking out my mouth, not out my ass. Because at the end of the day, my mouth can be shut and I'm still going to be physically all right. My ass can be wiped clean and I'm still going to be physically all right. And not to mention, I have enough stock to wipe my ass clean. And if not, there's some days I could wipe my ass with a couple of plies of toilet paper. Then there's some days when I could just turn around and use soap in my bare hand to wipe the shit from my ass and make sure that's squeaky clean, and then turn around and wash my hands anyway. Either way, I'll be all right. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, are you? Because I always, regardless of what you feel about me, I always came up here and tried. I always came up on YouTube and tried to help people. Whether y'all like me or not, I've always been that person. I always try to come up and teach you guys something. People didn't want to learn. People didn't want to. No way this government do. I'm too. Nah. There's no. They won't do that to me. I'm too important. Yeah. To explain to you why almost every fucking business all around the U.S. is closed down if you're so fucking important. Can you explain to me why so many businesses are closed down since you're so important? You're so important. Why all you motherfuckers out there that didn't believe me can't go into a restaurant, sit down and eat now, even with reservations or not? You can't even go in the fucking back alley where the dumpsters are and beg them to give you a chair and a table and serve you that way. You got to drive to them or have Food Dash or Uber Eats to come and deliver to you if you wanted to eat out. And the government figure they're doing you a favor by allowing you essential eats or essential gatherings or openings, which is basically, as of right now, liquor stores, restaurants that already have Food Hub and Uber Eats and stuff like that. You have very few Chinese restaurants that are open, but they only open if they have delivery options, because if they don't, they're being fined by their government and by their cities and towns and townships and villages and boroughs to not make sure they have people in it. Some places, you can't even, like right now, Home Depot got signs up that says, they can't occupy no more than 50 people. Still pouring in. Sometimes they don't even give a shit, even though they got a sign there that says it. And I know there's more than 50 fucking people because security is not stopping people from going there. I've been at Home Depot 2 days in a row because I'm trying to make a Nintendo controller like rocking chair. I finally found a rocking chair from the 80s. I wanted something to collaborate the time of the 80s when it comes to furniture. So this way, when I have somebody here in my office, not only can I sit here, but they can comfortably sit in a rocking chair. Or if I'm watching a movie or I want to watch an old VHS on that, I can turn my rocking chair to that and just, use something as an ornament and just sit there and rock in that. And I have that downstairs. It's going to be almost the same color as this thing is. I know I'm going off the beaten path, but so what? This right here is a Nintendo locker that I made. I ain't really make it. It's a locker, and I just basically, I basically designed it because I had a not really a friend. I had an acquaintance at the flea market who wanted certain stuff in his unit, in his room, excuse me, or his office, where the fuck he keeps his stuff at. And he said, "Yo, I know you draw. Yo, can you do me a favor? You think you can make me a piece of Nintendo furniture?" And I'm looking at him like, Nintendo furniture? What the f you talking about? And he said, "Yeah, he had a table. He had like a little kid's table, but the wooden one, not the one that folds, the metal ones that fold. But it had 2 chairs, and it was a Nintendo table. And he's like, yo, I want you to make me a Pokemon one." I said, Pokemon? And he wanted one chair white with red, and he wanted the other, whatever was opposite, one top red, one top white with some black trimming, and then opposite. So whatever was red up top, the other one would be white on top, and whichever one was red on bottom, it'll be white on bottom. You know what I mean? Like red, like that. But he wanted the chair to have the Pokemon ball emblem on it. So I did that. Came out very well, and I was like, "Oh, okay." So he said, "Yo, can you make me another one?" And I was like, "Okay." He came across another the same kind of chair that kids sit on, and he wanted another one. And I was like, "Okay." And he said, "Yeah, I got a little house, and I got my area where I collect Nintendo shit." And I said, "That's funny. I'm actually selling off all my video game stuff now, and I'm just keeping my just Nintendo shit. I mean, I have some stuff that aren't Nintendo products, but you know what I mean. Like, just I got rid of all that shit, and I'm just basically just staying with Nintendo because Nintendo has a higher value than any other video game stuff out there anyway, with some exceptions, like Neo Geo, AES, 3DO, shit like that. So the other one, he wanted to make a Nintendo. He wanted me to make like a NES controller for the thing, and he wanted all the chairs to be gray, but he wanted the legs to be black to basically coexist with the black wire from the regular Nintendo. And I said, which Nintendo? Nintendo 64 or the Super Nintendo or the NES? He said, no, NES, because those are different colors. And I'm like, okay, that's fine, because it'll be kind of hard to find spray paints that are kind of like the color of the Super NES and the and stuff like that. Because the Super NES, the gray is more of like a real high white purplish hue to it over the regular NES, and then you got those weird violet purplish colors. You know what I mean? And then if you look over here, you see the controller right there. It's just totally different. So I did that for him, and a month went by, and I came across this locker. Well, a locker like it because they had 2 of them, 2-foot lockers. One sold. The other one I think was $19.99, but it had 2 trays and the locker itself. And I was like, nah, I'm not gonna pay $19.99 for that. But then I went back a couple days later, and I was like, fuck it, I'll get it. But when I got it, it looked same locker, but it looked a little different. And I was like, oh shit, the trays were missing. And I noticed this one was $9.99 versus $19.99. Then I was like, you know what? Oh shit, they probably had 2 of the same locker from the same person, and they were probably charging $10 more for the other one because they had the 2 trays up top. And I should have brought it. And they both were almost in the same condition. But I'm still kind of speculating that it was the same locker, and maybe somebody took the trays out and asked to put prices on it, and they probably just priced it and they took those trays. So I don't know which is which, to be honest. But But whatever, I wound up getting that. So it was $9.99 and it wound up being half of that. So I got it for $5. So I figured, fuck it, if I fuck it up. So it took me about a week to do because I had to like, and you always dealing with overspray. Even if you use masking tape, I done a lot of overspray, and I thought the overspray makes it look more unique, makes it look more because I want my furniture. I don't want it to look like a factory did it. I want it to look like it's one of a kind, rugged piece of art that somebody did to give it not really a steampunk thing to it, but I just wanted to look like it's just different and unique. I wanted it to look like a rugged piece of nice art that somebody did. Because think about it, if you ever want to get rid of it, you get more money for something that looks like it was done by somebody than it looked like it was actually mass produced. Because when it looks like it's mass produced, people don't want to give you what they want, what you want for it, because again, it was mass produced and they figure they can get it. But when you have something that's an idea of an artist and you do it, it's more money involved because it's a one of a kind, unique piece, and you're like, that's interesting, and that's where I was at with that. So I figured I would use this time to just pussyfoot around, and so I got that down in the basement, and I used both of the grays, the darker gray and the lighter gray, and I used the black. So now I got going and add some fine tuning reds, and do a couple more things to it. Then I'm gonna spray it down, and I'm gonna cure it for hopefully about a couple days to a week, like this. Like if I touch this now, because it took so long to dry, it's not sticky. You understand? So that way I know it's not sticky, and I use a acrylic sealer over it. I know I don't have to worry about. I mean, it'll still anything gets scuffed and scathed up, regardless of how you seal it, because of it. And anything rubs against something, a hard surface that can mess it up, it's gonna scrape anyway. I mean, it happens with sneakers and stuff that's professionally done by factories and whatever anyway. So that's just something you can't ignore or get by. But other than that, being that I have it the way it is, there should be no reason why the paint and anything will flick or scrape off or whatnot. So it's pretty good. So I'll have that there, and then I'll just basically have a chair to go along with it to kind of give that nostalgia 1980s look to it. Because people's like, yo, you should use a computer chair or a nice wooden chair and something that just has somebody customized around. I was like, nah, I want something that looked like a rocking chair from the 80s, something from that era to help give off, oh, that's kind of cool. And it'll go with that. And again, it's different. You understand? But anyway, getting outside of that, I'm going to get off of this because it's almost time for me to go downstairs and start making dinner. We all had a late breakfast because I had to take a shower, get dressed, brush my teeth, because my daughter and her friend were going to go and pick up some vegetables and stuff to make eggs and whatnot. So we decided, you know what, it's going to be a rare occasion. So I made normally on Sundays, I do make a big breakfast for the family. I did a lot more cooking when we lived in Queens than now, because my daughter was off to school. My he works, and he works graveyard shift, and then he comes home in the morning. And normally when he comes home, he comes in with his own breakfast or eat his own breakfast. Then Isaiah was always in school and shit, and the wife was always working, doing overtime, killing herself. So it will always be me, and I got into the habit of either always going to auctions or looking online for auctions where I'll just grab something to eat real quick. And most of the time I wouldn't eat all day because I can go 2 days without putting anything in my mouth. Literally 2 days without eating anything, putting anything in my mouth. I'll be cranky as shit, but I can. Even now, even though I'm diabetic, I still can do it. It's not. I shouldn't, but I can. I'm the only person in this house that can do that without getting a headache or getting sick. So yeah, it's just crazy, y'all. Y'all just, y'all need to get your shit together and put your priorities in order and figure out what's more important to you. You guys and girls out there have to protect yourself. And if you're not going to protect yourself, protect the loved ones and people who you live with and live around. Even if it's a neighbor, even if you live in an apartment or a studio or a room, even if you got your own room, at the end of the day, you're going to have more than one person in that environment. Normally, if you rent a room from somebody, that means there are other individuals renting rooms from the person who runs or owns that environment you're around anyway. So you guys have to be able to protect yourselves, because at the end of the day, you can't protect others if you can't protect yourself. It's very imperative for you guys to sit back. If you guys don't learn anything from what I've been telling you guys for the last 12 years, please try to learn something now because it's virtually almost too late. Today is already Sunday, and they already had all these premonitions and regulations and stuff they wanted to put in effect Thursday, and they started it on Thursday. And now here it is. They already said they were going to put things in perspective for Sunday after a certain specific time, and we're only hours away from what they're saying or what they implicated they were going to do. So you guys and girls out there have to be able to board yourself up if need be. For those who live in New York City housing, you guys in a way are a little bit more luckier because you guys have doors that are made of a real good steel or metals mixed in with wood. And I know a lot of people out there in the PJs have guns and have weapons. This will be the first time when you're going to really be happy to have them for those who do have them. Make sure, if shit break out and they talk about, and you hear anything about them going door to door, just make sure you barricade yourself in and try to sound like you're not even there. You don't have no ways to protect yourself because you never know how they're going to come into these environments. I guarantee you, they're going to have heavily armed cops and or military if it goes that route to come into these environments. Because let's face it, it's the projects, it's the housing authority, so they are going to be prepared, a lot more prepared and more intense that way than your local 2 or 3 family house or piece of property owned by a single family house. Again, this is why they're trying to sit there and they're trying to suspend your rights, your civil rights. So this way they can basically say, hey, we suspended that, so you have no rights. So they're basically trying to say you're going to have even less rights than what fucking convicted felons and detainees have in jails and prisons. Because that's going to say, hey, we don't need they're basically saying, you know what, with that, we're not going to need a warrant to bring it to your house, to bust into your house. I don't even give a fuck if some kind of stink ass judge give you the right on a piece of paper to say we have a warrant to come into your house. That shit don't mean that. That shit never meant nothing to me. I watch a lot of these cop shows. I'd be like, who the fuck gave some stink ass motherfucker in a black robe some right to tell some other stink ass motherfucker they have the right to come and knock your door down and disrespect you on your property? But you let you go to one of them motherfuckers' piece of property and do that. You're gonna get locked up if you don't get shot. And if you do get locked up, they're gonna throw the fucking key at you. So why should it be the opposite for them? Why? Because they took an oath and because they got sworn in to do something. Get the fuck out of here. At the end of the day, the people give the government power, not the other way around. And y'all motherfuckers out here need to start realizing that. You as the people give the power to the government, not the other way around. Stop being scared, pussy ass motherfuckers, and realize if you're gonna lay down your life and you're threatening my life, I'm gonna take motherfuckers with me. Because at the end of the day, with this coronavirus going on, they're already doing that. A lot of y'all just like a lot of y'all motherfuckers be like, oh man, back in slavery, I couldn't survive because I'd have fucking nigga up. I know me. And anybody out there know me would know that, if I was back in slavery, they fucking cut my foot off. I'd have been buried. I couldn't escape, and I couldn't help nobody escape. Because my black ass would have been in the ground. I would have been hung or burnt from a tree or ripped apart by horses. Because I already know I ain't nobody house or field nigga. I already know I'll be the Jason Voorhees in the woods. I would have killed the fucking dog, and I would have took at least 4 or 5 motherfucking goddamn crackers with me. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, shit. I wouldn't be the only one dying. It'd be a whole bunch of us. I'll be one black man that you try to tell a story, master hang your ass and whip you to death. Because they be like, oh, we don't want you to no, you can't sit here and talk about that. You can't talk about that nigga in front of boss. Oh no, not even in front of the house, nigga, because I'll be like the fucking the Blair Witch Project and the Jason Voorhees and Freddy Krueger of that story. And I ain't just talking this shit out my ass. As you see, I'm not intimidated, scared in any way toward what I'm putting out here in public. I've been saying this shit for years, man. I'm a dying man anyway. We all dying. We all old time. Whether you're internally ill or not, you're dying anyway. So if you're gonna fucking go out your way. Don't go out nobody else's, man. If you're not gonna just go to sleep one day or pass out and your heart give out and they can't resuscitate you, or it's just your time to go by whatever means. If it's gonna come down to another fucking human being sitting there trying to take your life, man, you got your fucking mind if you're not gonna sit there and try to take theirs. And you better succeed. Because at the end of the day, you got more people than yourself depending on you. And I do. And there's no way in hell some stink ass white motherfucker, part my friends to y'all out there, but let's face it, the people that run the Department of Justice happen to be what color? You ain't gonna sit here and tell me what the fuck I can and can't do. And oh well, you know, we're gonna suspend civil rights. Get the fuck out of here. It'd be a whole bunch of motherfucking. That'd be the first time in history that rednecks that don't like blacks and a whole bunch of hood niggas that don't like whites gonna get together and they're gonna put a lot of hurting on y'all motherfuckers. Why y'all think y'all didn't, you know, they realize America, they didn't succeed in taking weapons away because white folks and them rednecks and them motherfuckers out there that are straight country inbred motherfuckers that the government are terrified of, motherfuckers that know how to make bombs and make shit. And I ain't just talking about moonshine, know how to make shit and know how to give the government a fucking run for their money. The motherfuckers ain't fucking with them. So that's another reason why they're creating all this pandemonium and hysteria. Wake up, man. Wake the fuck up.